Let's talk about the Magic Keyboard. You can buy it for the two iPad sizes, the 11-inch first and second generation, and you can also buy it for the 12.9-inch third and fourth generation. As you can expect, the build quality is just great. The keyboard with the new scissor mechanism and the trackpad are really good. The space between the keys is sufficient to type without any problems, and it has a good travel while typing. It's also backlit, so you can see the keys when it's dark. The trackpad is mechanical, so you don't have the fancy things with the haptic feedback, and it's covered in glass. It has a very firm and loud click that you can hear anywhere in the room, and you can click anywhere you want, not just the bottom half of it. If you want to tap to click, if you prefer, it's possible. You just have to dig in the settings and change it there. That's something I actually did. The multi-touch gestures are easy to learn, and they mimic the normal 2 and 3 finger inputs that you already know if you use a MacBook Pro or the Magic Trackpad in your Mac. If you already use them, the learning curve is going to be minimal, so you won't have any issues at all in learning how to use this. So for example, 3 things swipe to the left or to the right, it's going to change the application that you're in, and so on and so on. It's really easy to learn. The Magic Keyboard, it's really well built, and because it has tons of magnets on it, it's going to hold the iPad really well. Even if you are a hard typer, you won't have any issues at all with it. Other thing is the tilt adjustment. It's okay-ish. It's much better than the previous versions of the keyboard, where you only had 2 positions, like the folio, but it's still very limited in the adjustment. So for some people it might be good, for others, if you're taller, it might be a bit more difficult. Because of the design, you won't be able to flip the keyboard around as you used to. So you can't use it in portrait, which can be a bit annoying, especially if you want to take some quick notes. Also, other thing that it's going to be difficult, it's going to use the iPad Pencil. You won't be able to use the iPad Pencil at all. Well, unless you want to use it in a weird way, you have to stretch your arm and do it like that. It's not really practical. We just used to grab the iPad. It might actually just be easier to grab the iPad, take it from the Magic Keyboard, and just use it like that. At least it's a good thing that you can just take it out so quickly. Other thing you're gonna notice straight away is how heavy and bulky this is. The case with the iPad, it's really heavy. I would say that the 12-inch, it's probably heavier than a MacBook Pro 13-inch, or it's around the same. It's going to be bulkier, so it's actually thicker than a MacBook Pro. So it's not an easy choice, especially if you carry it around on a backpack, you will notice straight away. If you chose the iPad for being lightweight, going this route might be a bit tricky for you. This Magic Keyboard also has a USB-C port. You will be able to pass through the charging, so you can charge it while using the iPad, but it's a bit slower than usual. It is convenient, I have to say, and you can't plug in any other hardware on it, but you still have the other port available. So being able to charge the iPad like that without the cable dangling over there, it's really good. As I'm talking about charging the iPad, I need to say that the Magic Keyboard, it's going to drain some battery. It's not a deal breaker, at least for me, but keeping the keyboard lights on, using the trackpad and all of that, it's going to make you use around 10% more battery. Again, it's not a deal breaker for me, but it might be for you if you're always on the edge of the battery with the iPad. But now let's talk about the experience. The overall experience using the iPad, I have to say that it changed a bit for me. As soon as I connected the smart keyboard, my typing experience improved. And the simple fact that you have the trackpad just made my brain just switch to a laptop mode. I saw the trackpad and I straight away used it. It's going to make you use it as well without thinking about it, and suddenly, I don't know, I just started using the iPad Pro a lot more than my laptop, and I realized it was always there on my desk. Even just to check the casual email and to send that document, I use it straight away without even logging into my laptop. I know it's the usual argument about the iPad, if it's a laptop replacement, and we've heard all the arguments about this. But for me, adding the trackpad to it just made it a bit closer to my heart, and to my desk as well. So I think Apple is on the good way here. It's on the right path to make it just more like a laptop than the usual iPad experience. It is great to use it while browsing, for example, and reading emails and going through all your tasks and all of that. And for example, I edit all my podcasts with this trackpad on the iPad, so it's working really well for me. We just need some more Pro apps to be released and others to be updated. Microsoft, for example, they said they're going to update Microsoft Excel and Word. Let's just see if Google do the same with Google Docs. It's going to be really good if you can use the trackpad, for example, on the Excel. I believe this product will give developers a reason to port their desktop applications to the iPad OS, whereas before using a finger was simply not possible or practical at all. And that might be a push for developers to say, well, this is now the time to port my applications to the iPad OS. Hopefully, even Apple will do that with, I don't know, Final Cut Pro. It'll be good to see it on the iPad. Something I felt the lack of is the top row. So you don't have any function keys, and not being able to change the brightness of the keyboard without diving into menus, going over there, touching this, touching that. It's a bit of a bummer, I have to say. It would be really good to be able just to press a button and change it. If you're watching a movie and you have that brightness just banging around, just banging against the screen is really annoying. Hopefully we'll get some modifier shortcuts to enable this in future iPad OSs. Enabling you just to press, for example, a comment button and other shortcut, and the first row will become a function key. Something we have to bear in mind is that the iPad is definitely a product on a category of... Something we have to think is that the iPad is definitely a product on a category of its own. Add the Apple Pencil and you have the best drawing tablet your money can buy. If you put it next to your MacBook, you have a secondary screen with Sidecar. If you attach this new Magic Keyboard, you are even closer to a laptop experience than you ever were before. You don't need to do this, you can just use a Magic Trackpad, you can use a mouse, and your experience will change straight away, but having that on the form factor, and just opening it and having the iPad with the trackpad, it is a game changer for me. I can't see any other product in the market like this. Maybe the Surface Pro X. I'm actually going to review it, so if you want to see that review, just hit the notification bell, do the subscribe, you know, the usual drill. The Magic Keyboard is expensive. In the UK, it costs £299 for the 11-inch model, or £349 for the 12.9-inch. If you want that to the cost of the iPad itself and the Apple Pencil, because you're probably going to buy the full product, you just bought yourself a MacBook Air, one of the new ones. It's definitely a tough choice, but at the end of the day, only you can decide what's best for you, and especially for your workflow. The MacBook won't give you the flexibility of an iPad, the longer battery, the iPad OS, and the Apple Pencil, but you'll be able to enjoy a full macOS experience with all the other benefits on it. So it is up to you, you have to make that decision. As always guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching. I'm Daniel and I see you on the next one. Ciao.